dust from the stars tonight. Light a candle in my name. Together maybe we could learn to change. The gift of silver becomes the gift of gold. The deepest secrets will unfold. The night is shattered by the rising sun, and all the earth will sing the same song. Breathe on me, breath of love, and wrap the broken pieces of this heart. Find the voices, make them still, and hold the shadows back and drink your fill. I'm tired of fighting words stored in my head, and all the dreams we've left unsaid. The sun is rising, now it won't be long till all the earth will sing the same song. Breathe on me, breath of life, and shake the dust from the stars tonight. Light a candle, say my name. Together maybe we could learn to change. Together maybe.
Om Shanti. I would like to welcome Sri Jayanti to join with us. And on behalf of everyone, I would like to welcome her. And I don't mind saying that, her schedule is so tight. It's like one of the country leader. And I really admire and appreciate her atak sevadaris, atak is tireless serving. And I think for us to really follow her in her footsteps in that way. And she's beautifully bridged the gap between West and East. And today, the topic we are exploring with her is bridging the gap between where we are and being a complete bestower. So she's going to share for 30 minutes, and later Shashar from Russia, he's been in Gyan for 40 plus years. He's going to interview Sister Jayanti on this topic. Warm welcome. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Om Shanti. This morning I saw some of you in class, but now I'm seeing those who've come from Pandapavan also. And so lovely to see you all. There was one particular sentence that Baba spoke a few Murlis ago, which has stayed in my mind. And I'll share with you the Hindi words, Sochta Swarup, thinking about something, being the embodiment of thought, And what Baba wants us to become is Anubhav Swarup, to be the embodiment of experience. And I think that maybe this in a way summarizes where we are and where we would like to be, to become Bab Saman or to be unlimited benefactors, because we think about many, many aspects of Gyan, which is wonderful. At least then I'm not thinking about humans or things out there, but my churning of Gyan is going to help my intellect become clean and clear, which is a very powerful foundation for any effort. And so churning of Gyan is excellent, but not to let it stay there, but to actually practice the things that Baba's teaching us so that it becomes part of my experience. But one particular thing I learned this year, which was actually very powerful, was something from Dadi Ratan Mohini's class, a class she'd taken some years earlier. And it was on the subject of soul consciousness. Did many of you know that Dadi's favorite topic was always soul consciousness? Yes? She would describe it beautifully, and she would say that her journey began with that understanding and experience. And she was 11 years old when she came with her mother and sister, but she was the motivating force for the surrender. And she said, just imagine, at that age, you want to be with your parents all the time, and yet Baba made us practice soul consciousness in such a powerful way that we actually felt detached, not just from our body, but from everybody else around us. And it was truly not a physical birth, but a spiritual rebirth in which, on a physical level, all the logics were left behind physically, and we were able to just experience Baba and Mama as a mother and father. And so that's her practical experiment with soul consciousness. And so today, if there's a difference between what I know I can be, but what I am at the moment, the first and most powerful aspect to practice is soul consciousness. And it's first day's lesson, but according to Brahma, it's also the last lesson. In the final moments, can I detach from my body like this? How long does it take to snap your fingers? Not even a second. So it's not even a question of a second, but just come back here and be able to let go of everything here, everything, and fly to Baba. So my preparation has to be for that moment, because if at that moment my intellect is pulled here or there, good or bad, whatever it may be, then I'm going to get stuck. I won't be able to fly, and neither will I be able to catch Baba's signals. And so my practice of soul consciousness is absolutely the foundation for everything. And within that, the sentence that had really caught my attention was where she said, to think I am a soul is still body conscious. And when I reflected on it, I said, yes, of course, because when I'm thinking, it's my brain, and my brain is very much part of my physiology. And so at that moment, my brain is thinking I'm a soul, but at that moment, I am not soul conscious. I am in that awareness of still this. And so thinking I'm a soul is important. It's the first step. But can I go deeper and deeper within myself to come to the experience of that total silent space inside in which I can feel that I'm a soul? And if you've done that once, the experience is such a sweet and powerful one, you can keep repeating it for yourself again and again. So that stage of soul consciousness, so that it doesn't take me a few moments, but I see, I hear, but I'm able to go inside immediately and come to that experience of being a soul. And so the more I practice this, the easier it becomes. And the second thing to practice, how long does it take me to put a full stop to something of the past? 10 years? Sometimes we don't let go of things and don't forget what somebody has said 10 years ago. Now just imagine this tiny little soul, and not only am I carrying the full record of all my births, huge, huge amount of information, but just in this one birth, how many things of the past am I carrying in here which are a total waste? Every time I think of them, or every time something happens that triggers the memory, those thoughts come back, those feelings come back. And if it's a beautiful experience, wonderful, keep repeating it and reawaken that feeling and that joy and that intoxication. But if it's anything negative, and I keep doing that, I'm just adding to my burden more and more. Not only am I wasting my time, my thoughts, my energies, all the treasures of Sangam Yuga, but also I'm creating that imprint on a deeper and deeper level. When a child falls and the mother picks it up and gives it a hug and says, "Okay, I'll kiss it better," how long does it take the child to forget? It's gone. You see the child smile within a moment. But if there are things that happen and the imprint is like writing on stone, and every time I emerge it, that engraving on stone gets deeper and deeper. And so, literally, when I feel heavy, and Baba's often been talking about lightness recently, so every time I feel heavy, it's because I'm filling my intellect, this tiny little space that I have, with things that are not useful, sometimes highly toxic, but at the best they're not useful. But when they're toxic, then of course they're impacting my total behavior today, but also the atmosphere, and also, in fact, the body itself. There's a lot of evidence that we have about this too, through medical research. So, when things happen, can I practice what Baba has said about putting a full stop? And the full stop is real. It's not like Baba said, you're a bit shaky, and so when your hand shakes, it's not a full stop. It becomes a query, it becomes a question. Or even if it becomes an exclamation mark, and I'm shocked. Big difference between really putting a full stop and not allowing it to come back into my awareness. And so, if there's something that I keep repeating in my mind, and worse still, repeating it in words to others, then that imprint is going to be so deep that in my final moments, that imprint is what's going to pull me. But to be able to put a full stop needs practice. And so can I check myself? How many things of the past am I still carrying? And can I start deleting them one by one by one? It would be great to say, just keep the button pushed and it'll all get deleted. but it's different situations, different feelings, different people, different everything. And so it's there in a big way. And it's being added all the time. And so I need to delete all the things from the past, but also I need to make sure that I don't add on anything further. If I can practice putting a full stop quickly and making it effective, that's going to save me a huge amount of time and energy that I can then devote to doing good things. Baba's often well, there was a whole month about Mansa Seva, but also all the Avyakt signals are somehow related to yoga in a way, but especially the month before where Baba was talking a lot about being lost in love. And today Baba's lovely definition, hugging is not a physical thing. To be lost in Baba's arms isn't a physical experience, but it's the experience that I'm sure many of you have had already. It's the experience of being merged in Baba's love to such an extent that you're totally unaware of the world out there. It's not useful. What is useful is just to keep alive that experience. So can I keep practicing putting a full stop so that I can go back again and again into that experience of the ocean of love and being merged in that ocean. And everybody's experience that when things are challenging, then it's Baba's love that carries you through. Yes, you're using Gyan, and you're telling yourself, stop the if and why and but things still keep coming up. But the more I stay lost, immersed in that love, then I say, well, this is what Sangam Yoga is all about. Sangam Yoga isn't about somebody else's behavior. It's not about somebody else's stage. That's their concern, not mine. My concern is my stage. At one point, Avyakt Bapdada had asked the question, way back, what is it that Brahma Baba loved the most? And all of us thought that the answer was going to be Baba. The answer wasn't that. It was very different. The answer was, Brahma Baba loved his stage. Makes sense, right? If I make sure I keep my stage the way it should be, clean and pure and flying and light and easy, then it's very simple to be with Baba all the time. And if things are getting me down and my stage is getting heavier and heavier, and it shows on my face, it shows in my interaction with others, it creates a cloud, a shadow around me that touches others also. But equally, the stage of being light and easy, can I keep that stage, having had that experience of being lost and merged in Baba's love, can I keep that stage through the day? Yes, there's a lot of things to be done. And Sangam Yoga, you don't just have to look after yourself, you also have to go to work, you also have to do service, you have to think about Lokik family, you have to think about relationships at the center. It's a lot that's going on in Sangam Yoga. But if I stay light, I'll deal with each thing as it comes. I won't invoke trouble. And if trouble does come, because I'm light, I can deal with it more easily. But sometimes we invoke trouble. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it'll... And so even before the situation actually arises, I've generated a lot of waste energy. And maybe it's my thoughts that have made that situation happen the way it is. And so can I not invoke trouble? Can I use Gyan at that time to say, let me focus on the present. Let me do what I need to do now. And yes, when I need to plan, even that, if I stay light and plan, not negative eventualities, but planning in a practical way. I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do the other. But if my mind is clear and light and easy, then the plan is more likely to be accurate and therefore successful. And if I'm getting heavy and generating all sorts of waste, but maybe this, maybe that, maybe the other, then I'm going to get so heavy and I'm going to invoke that trouble. And so these three practices are absolutely vital. Going deep into the self and finding that feeling, that experience of the soul, being able to put a full stop to anything, even good. The Dadis never spoke about the service they did. Others spoke about it. Think about it. Dadi Janki? Yes, there might have been an encounter that she was touched by, so she would talk about that. But she wouldn't talk about it in terms of achievements in any way. And so, even the past, good things, but can I put a full stop? But yes, the memories of Sakar Baba, those she kept alive by emerging them in her consciousness again and again. And that's how she coped with illness. When there was illness, she'd say, just leave me alone. And she would spend time in silence, emerging those stories of Baba. And because she did this regularly for herself, when she spoke about those stories to us, at that time, 60 years prior, they'd still be so fresh. And she'd give us the feeling as if we were there with her as those things happened. So emerging the good things, not achievements in service, but things that uplifted you. The times that you had special drishti, whether it was Avyakt Bap Dada, Dadi Gulzar, Dadi Janki, Dadi Prakashmani, so many different experiences that this gathering has been through. And so emerge those and the feelings that they created in you. And those feelings can be emerged again and again, and they'll help. So putting a full stop to whatever is negative and wasteful. And the third, experience being lost in love. And everything changes dramatically because my intellect, my perception is different. Recently I was in Costa Rica and it was a gathering of powerful individuals, but the woman who'd invited me, she wasn't there. So I was surprised and I asked, where is she? And they said she'd had a fall. And this woman has been a good friend of the BK since the 80s. And today I'd say she is a BK herself. It was a slow, slow journey, but the friendship led to closer and closer interaction and a huge amount of support for Baba through all the service projects we've had. And she's 90 now. So she was unwell, generally fragile, but when she had the fall, can you imagine, in 90 and you fall, so much can go wrong. And after that, sometimes I've seen people totally immobile, in a wheelchair then for the rest of their life. But as soon as the program finished, it was a 2-hour trek to get to her, but we took the journey and went to see her. And to my surprise, she had a big, beautiful smile and was sparkling. And yes, she was carrying a stick and she was needing help and support, but her face gave no indication that there was anything wrong with the body. So once she'd settled down comfortably, I said to her, we missed you. And she said, but I didn't miss you. And what I thought is that, and she uses the word Baba, she said, I thought to myself, why is Baba keeping me away from the program? And I smiled and I said, Baba, you know what you need from me. You don't need me to be running around anymore. There are many young ones who can do that. You need me to be doing Mansa Seva. So while you were all talking and enjoying and whatever, I was doing Mansa Seva so that the program should be very successful. And it was more than could have been expected. It was highly, highly successful. Now here's a woman who's reading Murlis now and has had a long association with Baba and BKs. At age 90, she's reminding us of Mansa Seva. And it was so beautiful to observe how something that could have turned her mind and made her feel very depressed. I worked so hard to make this happen, and it's happening now, and I'm not, the sort of thoughts that can go on. So what sort of face would she have had? She would have been pretty down, and we would have had to work hard to uplift her. But instead of that, she was sparkling. Change of perception. So can I do that instantly? When something is happening, can I change my perception of what's going on and be with Baba and maybe ask myself the question, how would Baba see this? What does Baba want from me now? And you will change, and the situation will change, and it'll help others too. And so yes, I'm sure that success was destined in the drama, but even when something's destined, you still have to make it happen. This is the quirk of drama, knowing that drama is accurate and knowing that you have to make that accurate happen again. And so here we are thinking about, well, how much time do we have? We don't have that much time. And so is it possible for me to achieve the stage that Baba would like me to have, that I would like to have, to be so full that I don't need anyone or anything except Baba? Daddy used to love this song, and it's a song about the three jewels that I love. Baba, Murli, Madhuban. Sakhiri mene payo teen ratan. My friend, I found three jewels, Baba, Murli and Madhuban. And even Madhuban's not just a physical thing. Madhuban is the memories I carry in my mind. And again, Murli is not just the paper that I read, it's the things I've taken from God's versions that I keep in my heart and my head. And Baba, of course. Baba says, I'm with you, but do I feel Baba's presence with me? And so that one sentence from that Murli of, don't just be the embodiment of thinking, be the embodiment of experience. And that really has been such a trigger for my own inner work when I read that just some weeks ago, I think, maybe a few months ago. And so Baba teaches us very simple things. Why? Because Baba knows we're exhausted. After the journey through the Copper Age and the Iron Age, and especially the last period of the Iron Age, we don't have any energy left. And it's so visible in what's going on in the world today. People don't have that inner strength, that inner energy anymore at all, which is why all the values fall apart and everything breaks down. But Baba comes to recharge the soul completely, renew the soul completely. And so Baba teaches us simple methods where we just have to work on them, apply them, remember them, that's it. And definitely, when I'm feeling full because I've taken everything that Baba wants to give me, then automatically you're able to give. Devta, this word in Hindi, deity. Devta, dene wala. And just at Diwali time, we had the little deepaks, and it was diya. And so the giver, the donor, the one who's able to give, different to I want, I want, I want. And when you're in the wanting stage, then it's a problem. But when you're in the giving stage, give, 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 you're able to fly. Om Shanti. I heard Sasha give a whole talk in perfect Hindi in Delhi a few days ago. And I knew that Sasha translated from Hindi into Russian directly, but I didn't know that you could speak Hindi so well. Congratulations.
Thank you, Didi. That was a very short talk.
It was short, but it was very sweet and powerful.
And thank you so much, Didi. And I really don't like this part of mine in this drama, to stop this wonderful flow of wisdom and love and experience. And sometimes they say that you have to throw a stone in the water to cause the ripples. But here I don't feel the need even to throw any stones, but just according to the drama, this part was given to me, and I hope that the second part of the session will be a useful continuation for what we have already heard, and I have already taken these 3 points deep to my heart: soul consciousness, putting a full stop on the past, and just being in Baba's arms, in Baba's lap. So, and Didi now is something very practical about being a bestower, and it's a practical example with one of the brothers whom I know, and he is a very good server. He has very bright ideas, and he does lots of good things, but what is his speciality is that he never takes tollies when he comes to the center, and he avoids taking gifts. He says, if I take something from the yajna, which is so invaluable, then I have to give much more than I can. So it's better if I remain a bestower. If I take tollies or gifts, that will I will no longer be a bestower. So, Didi, what would you recommend to such a selfless server?
I know that when people would say to Sakar Baba, Baba, I don't need anything, you've given me enough. Baba would say, but take even a little gift from Madhuban, this word souvenir, to be able to come back, to be able to remember. And so that souvenir from Madhuban will awaken memories of Madhuban. As you see it, every time you see it, maybe it's a shawl, every time you wear it, whatever it is, it'll remind you of Madhuban and bring you closer to Baba. And so Baba would very much want the individual to take something, even something little. And then tolis, well...
Because you eat them, huh? You can't keep them.
So tolis, somehow early on, I couldn't take so many tolis, and there were always plenty tolis around. So I used to say to Dadi, whichever Dadi, can I just take drishti? And so they'd smile, and they'd give me drishti. And so if you're avoiding Tuli for whatever reason it may be, whether it's health, whether it's because you don't want to take from the yajna, whatever it may be, but you can just say, I'll take the blessing and take your drishti.
Yeah, great. So I will try that. As we're having this topic of being a bestower, so, and especially in today's morning Morley, it was also, or just a few days ago, it was a very powerful wave of how we should do Baba's seva nirantar, constantly. Maybe just 5-6 days ago, Baba was saying that you should do seva in your every thought, every second, even when you are sleeping. People, on seeing you, should feel that this is something special, this is an angel. So I feel that sometimes this idea of being a server, a bestower, 24/7 may be a little bit scary. Like if I'm a bestower, like Baba says, 8 hours a day, that's perfectly okay. 16 hours a day, okay. But if I'm a server 24/7, it means that I do not have my personal space. I do not have any private time. And that may be an obstacle sometimes for deciding that, yeah, I should be a permanent bestower.
I'll give you a practical example. And there was a time when Daddy was quite unwell and she wasn't able to come down to class. She'd come for Amrit Vela in Baba Bhavan in London, and on that same floor, her bedroom, and then a few steps away was Baba's room and a sitting room. And so she would come for Amrit Vela. Then after Amrit Vela, then word got around and more started to come. But even the handful who were there first, they would then turn around to take drishti from Daddy, because she'd be sitting in the corner. And after drishti, she would speak for about 10 minutes. But it'd be so beautiful, so powerful, so uplifting, as many, many more were coming. And then through the day, she needed to rest. There was a medical reason that the doctors in London couldn't diagnose. But then when she came to India, on Dadiji's insistence, Dadi really said to her, you have to travel, you have to come. So she came. And the doctor diagnosed it and put it right. So it was very simple. But at that time, she couldn't come down the stairs at all. And we'd see her face when she was lying down, and she would be smiling. And afterwards, I'd ask Daddy, what was happening? And she'd say, Baba had taken me on service. I don't know where Baba took me, but it was somewhere, and Baba was asking me to give them drishti and give them toli. And so it was deep in her consciousness to be able to serve. And Baba gives that example of the tailor. The tailor would be cutting material through the day, and then at night, the family was shocked when he started pulling off the bed sheets and cutting them, because this is what he had done through the day. So he was continuing to do that through the night. And many of you would have had, not cutting bed sheets, but a similar experience. If there's something that you've been doing repeatedly through the day, it's in your dreams. You're doing the same thing in your dreams. Who's had that experience? Only a few? But I'm sure many, many of you would have had, but you've forgotten. But certainly it happens. So if through the day I'm giving, it's totally natural that through my time of sleep I continue to do that. It's a reality that happens. And so, yes, Daddy used to first have dreams of service, and there's a few examples that I have. We won't go into the stories now, but she would dream of something, and a little while later, maybe even a year later, it would materialize. And I'd remember that Daddy shared this dream with us when it's actually now happening in practice. And then it switched to the stage where she was doing service in her dreams. Not just having dreams of service, but she was actually serving in her dreams. And Hansa shares the story of how sometimes she'd go to wake up Daddy. Daddy, there's people waiting, you have to come and meet them. And Daddy would say, I was giving Toli. I have to finish my job, I'll come in 5 minutes. And then she'd go, close her eyes, and again she'd be doing this. She was giving Toli. So that's why it is possible. I've seen it happen as a reality. But the other thing you mentioned is very, very important. The Dadis were able to use their own reserve of the accumulation of yoga that they had and the accumulation of the stock of Gyan that they were able to give all the time. I never heard any of the Dadis say, I need time for myself, or I need space for myself. Those who've been with the Dadis, did you ever hear any of the Dadis ever say this? It was a reality of their life, because through the early meditation, they were filling their stock. Through the sharing of Murli and Gyan through the day, they were again refilling themselves. And Dadi Janki's expression used to be, I'm a miser. And Dadi was the most generous person you could ever meet. She would give away her own share of her lunch to somebody else, and they wouldn't even know that it was her share. And she would say, it's okay, if I don't have one meal, it's not going to make any difference. So that was Dadi. But now she's saying, I'm a miser. And she'd say, I don't give anyone my energy. I just keep a connection with Baba, bring Baba in front of me, and I let Baba give them energy and love and power and whatever it is the soul needs. I don't give anything of myself, because if I gave, I would get depleted. And so I've learned to keep Baba there so that Baba can give them, but also not just that I don't want to get depleted, but their connection should then be with Baba and not just with me. And so, yes, when it was COVID, we heard about compassion. And then after a couple of years, we heard about compassion deficit, that people no more had compassion. Whatever they had, they'd given, and now they were empty. And so you never saw any of the Dadis get empty, because they knew how to bring Baba in the picture and let Baba give. And of course then they earn double, because then Baba's giving them extra love, but the individual they've served is also giving them good wishes. It's a double commission.
Well, that reminded me of our experience of meetings with Dadi Janki in Shantivan, especially the last years, night time, around 9 o'clock, and we were just sitting, and Dadi was serving the whole day from Amrit Vela, and then she is sitting late at night, sharing her stories, giving drishti to all of us. And when the sisters try to sort of show us that you have to leave already, it's already time. Just once, it touched me very much. And Daddy said but they need me. They need me, though. That's why I'm here. Maybe in this body, I don't know. That's why. That's why I'm here. They need me. If they don't need me anymore, perhaps I will go. So that's true. That's true. That it was giving all the time. Yeah,
absolutely.
That was non-stop. Sometimes, Didi, it's like I'm a bestower. I know that I have a very nice skill, a talent. I can sing well. I'm a great communicator. I know my speciality. And I know that using this speciality is for me the way to be a bestower. But somehow this speciality is not used. I can sing well, but my service is to bring mic on the stage to those who are singing. And I'm not talking about Suresh Bhai. Or I'm a brilliant communicator, but I'm put in the office where I'm just all alone with papers and emails and all that. So does it mean that my potential is not being used? I want to be a bestower, but I'm somehow limited to some other tasks that can be done well by, anyone else.
When I was leaving Pune to come to Madhuban to surrender to Baba, Daddy gave me 3 mantras, and one of the mantras was, whatever service is given to you, never think it's going to be too much for me, because if you say that, the door will shut. But if you say yes, the door will keep open and you'll be able to learn and move forward. But if you think that the service is too low for you, again, if you say no, again the door of fortune shuts, because then people will hesitate to offer you anything. And if you say yes, then one thing will lead to another and another, and you'll move forward. So it's a good mantra to remember, and it's been very practical. But I also want to share the story of another person. This person came to Daddy, this is early days, early 80s, and there were very few Brahmins in that country. And this person said to Daddy, Daddy, I have a PhD and I have all this education and I could do a lot of service, but I'm not being given a chance. And Daddy said, when you let go of that thought that I am the one who's educated, let go of that completely. Be a clean, clear instrument, then Baba will use those qualities. While you think, I can do this, the doors won't open. And it was a very powerful lesson. I was translating for Daddy, but I mean, everyone who's ever been a translator knows how much we've learned through translation. But that scene is something I often remember, that it's my ego that's saying, I, this, and this. But can I accept whatever service it is that comes to me? And if I accept that, I'll be able to interact with others, I learn from them, and I'll create relationships with them, and there'll be more doors opening for me. But if I'm waiting for something else, well, maybe that opportunity is never going to happen. But this I that comes in, I can do this, that's the block.
You touched it already in the first half of the session. But maybe we can talk more about that. It's about our bodies getting older or more fragile with time. And this is the difference between the Lokic world and the Brahmin world. Normally, out there, people reaching certain age, they retire. They can enjoy with their grandchildren. They do traveling, touring, or just... But somehow in the Brahmin family, and Baba says that this confluence age is the most special age, and we enjoy every moment of it. The older you become, the more responsibility is there, and the body is not able sometimes to cope with that. But you know that further ahead it's going to be more and more. So how this balance is to be kept, to stay the bestower?
Can I know myself as a soul, but can I also know about my body, so that I'm able to do things within the limits that the body imposes? So the physical things I used to do 20 years ago, I can't do those anymore. but can I do other things instead? And yes, there'll be younger ones who'll come and they'll do the things I used to do, but now can I sustain them and keep them enthusiastic and ready and prepare them so that they can do more? So I think that if you grow old physically, gracefully in that way, then you manage. But again, can you imagine in the Lokik world, a person 92 years old taking on a new job that was full-time? Dadi Janki was asked to do that. She'd been there were no titles at all, but then later on towards the end of that period, she was being called the Director of Foreign Services. And so from being the Director of Foreign Services to being the Chief of the Brahma Kumaris worldwide was a big step. And so 92 years old, she settled back in India and took on a new job. And when we'd say to her, Dadi, what if somebody wants to retire? She'd say, well, why are they tired? They shouldn't be tired. If they weren't tired, then they wouldn't retire. And I'm not retired, I'm not tired. And it's true that she had the same enthusiasm for doing whatever she was doing. We saw the changes in Dadi in a very gradual, dramatic way. It was dramatic in the sense that it was a different Dadi. So where she used to give class, imagine she would hear the Murali and immediately it was being processed. And immediately after Murali, she would give class. Not just 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Who remembers that she gave class for 45 minutes? Every single day, wherever it was she was in the world. And every single day it was new things that were coming out. Amazing, really amazing. And later, gradually the length of her classes reduced. And at the end, she was just giving class for 5 minutes, and then she'd say, okay, can someone sing a song? Or she'd tell the sound people, can you put on some dance music? We should dance. Her role changed completely. She was in a wheelchair by then, but you could see her dancing. And so she knew what her limits were, and she adjusted to that in a very gradual, natural way. But those who were seeing her after maybe a year or 2 years, they'd say, that is so different. But yes, she understood what you need to do. And so yes, if my body needs something extra, let me give it that. If my body needs something less, let me do that. So to make sure that Baba's mantra to Dadi was, remember, you're not just the driver of your vehicle, you're also the mechanic. And so if you remember that you're the mechanic, and if you take care of your own vehicle, then you won't need to go to the hospital and say, put me right. But when it was time to go to the hospital, okay, she did that gracefully too.
Thank you, that's beautiful. I'm aware that Jayanti Didi has to leave by 7, but maybe we have time for just just a small another question. It's being an unlimited bestower these days especially is possible using the means of technology. We're getting more and more unlimited, and people can see us, they can watch, they can listen worldwide. And so can we measure the level of my development as an unlimited bestower with the number of views, likes?
I don't think so. Why? Because Mansa Seva is unlimited. And Mansa Seva, I don't see the results, and I don't need to know the results, like the story of Dadi in the 80s when she was unwell. I don't know where I went, I don't know who was served, but I know that Baba served through me. That's it, just that contentment. And sometimes we get people come back and tell us that he came to me in my dreams, that he came to me as an angel. So we would hear feedback in that way. But she wasn't interested. Baba did service and I'm content. And so certainly the number of views, how many souls do I reach through Mansa Seva? I don't know. It's not the number of views. And if it's just service through words, yes, that can be counted. But if you've left an imprint in someone's heart and they've come closer to Baba through what you've done, it might be 10 years before they tell you that, yes, you said this and this is what helped me at that time. So not to look for external results in that way, but let me just take and be able to give. But the most important thing, if I'm content myself, then that contentment allows Baba to work through me. If I'm discontent, then it's going to be difficult with relationships, it's going to be a vibration that's creating discontent in others, and I can't serve. But if I keep myself content, if I have this, it's okay. If I don't have this, it's also okay. No problem. To be light and easy, both in terms of physical situations, but also in terms of relationships. I smiled at them and they didn't smile back. It's okay. Why should I stop smiling? I don't have to be dependent on their smile. Let me keep smiling anyway. Yeah?
Om Shanti, and thank you, Didi, so much for this wonderful sharing. I think everyone agrees that it was wonderful, and we could have continued on and on.
And Sasha's second language is English, so thank you. But also, yes, the questions you asked, I think, maybe were in many people's hearts and minds, so thank you.
Thank you very much for the insight about the topic, and also for Sasha for beautiful questions.